We were involved with the Google TV ad system a number of years ago, and it was a very good system, probably a little bit before its time, but it had all the elements of what you're starting to see today in the emerging platforms. I think where you're going to see TV go, programmatic TV buying go, I think you will see it significantly accelerate. If you look at the efficiencies of buying in this way, I think it's going to be pretty dramatic. And I think what's going to be really interesting is all the brands that are out there that don't do television today may start to actually move back into the TV world because you can buy addressable TV in a lot more convenient manner. Addressable to TV today is really still buying channels and audience inside the channels. I think ultimately where it needs to get to is really down to the set-top box level, where you could have a street of 10 houses in a street. They could all be watching a program like The Walking Dead, and you could have different ads being served up to every household based on the audience that's watching it, right? Because no audience is universal, right? There's a mix of different people watching it, and you don't want to be serving the same ad to all of those different audiences. And I think that's ultimately where it will get to. And it may give an opportunity for the TV networks to charge premiums based on the audiences they're selling to or delivering ads to. So I think that's ultimately where it goes. It's probably quite a long way off. I'm sure it's in development in some markets. But I think that's where the exciting thing, to allow a brand to come into the market and then cherry pick audiences across a set of programs and networks. And today you would have to buy a lot of inventory to reach those people, which carries a lot of waste with it. The evolution has been very much around the improvement of the platforms that exist to allow you to do this. But I think fundamentally, if you get back to the heart of it, as you mentioned, I was probably the only brand here 3 years ago, and now there's, what, 30–40% of the people here are brands. The key difference is the brands are taking control of the wheelhouse and not so much dictating what needs to be done, but directing the conversation. So by directing the conversation is forcing the agency partners to really address how you start to buy video. And there's a number of different models that you can buy. It can be brand direct, it could be agency, it could be pass-through straight to the tech vendor. But I think brands have started to understand the power of what programmatic can bring in transparency and reach and scale and measurement, and the ability to go back to their bosses and report things in a different way than they could before very, very quickly. I think the piece where is still to evolve, and I think there's a session today on this, is the creative aspect. And we've got a big content piece of work going on now, but how do you start to do content for a programmatic buy-in parameter, which has different audiences, right? And then how do you optimize on that? So I think that's still a challenge for brands, is how you build the right creative for the right audience at the right time, and what's your content factory that builds that, because it's not just about, you've also got Facebook are doing video, right? So building your content in a different way needs to be looked at. And the tradition of one agency fits the model for building your content is probably not going to work long term. I'm the Director of Global Digital Marketing Strategy. My role is to help the rest of the geographies globally to adopt programmatic platforms. And when I say that, that's not just video. That's what are we doing in the mobile space, what are we doing in the emerging native space, and then what we're doing on social. And social is kind of an odd one because it has video and it has native in it, and where's that going to go? Is that going to be subsumed by the video and the native platforms, or will it stay on its own? And then measurement. So how are we going to measure all this stuff? The Nielsen's. How do we have a global set of platforms that all our geographies are using, so we're consistent in what we do, and develop a culture around it and a process around these things. So we don't have 5 different geographies doing different things in different ways, which wouldn't be a very efficient way of running a business.